Hi viewer, welcome back to another lesson. This is lesson number 19 of HTML and CSS course, and in this lesson we are going to talk about CSS text transformation, spacing and shadow. So first of all, CSS text transformation. So by text transformation property we mean the uppercase or lowercase of our text. So if we specify one of these three values, which are uppercase, lowercase and capitalize, it transforms our text according to the value. So by uppercase we mean all of the letters would be in capital form. By lowercase we mean all of the alphabets would be in lowercase, which means they would be small letters. Whereas in capitalize, it means that only the first letter of the word or of the line would be capitalized, whereas all the other characters would be small, which means lowercase. Let us see its example in our editor. Right, as you can see an example below here as well. So in our editor we are here. These are the files that we used in our previous lesson. So today it's lesson number 19. So I'm going to create a file for it, lesson number 19, and give it the name of CSS text transformation shadow etc. .html ml. So give it a boilerplate and give it a text CSS text transformation and shadow. So right here I am going to create, for showing you this example, I'm going to create a p tag. This is the text, and the property we are going to use inside this style, internal style, is this text transform property. And for example, we are going to style p and give the text transform to for example uppercase. First of all, uppercase, going live, and inside our browser, as you can see, all of the letters are shifted or transformed to uppercase. Whereas if I may give here the lowercase, all of the letters would shift to lowercase, and if I may give it capitalize, the first letter would be capital of each word, whereas all the other letters would be small or lowercase. So right after text transformation we have text indentation. This text indent property is used to specify the indentation of the first line of a text. For example, if I may give here text indent of 50 pixels, right, as you can see it has given it an indent. Let us increase the text inside here so that we can see our values correctly. So right, as you can see, it has given it the indentation from left side, which means the first line is getting an indentation, like we read different paragraphs and there is a bit of indentation to the first line. So that is done by using this property text indent. So after seeing this text indentation property, text indent property, we are going to learn about text spacing. By this text spacing or letter spacing property, we mean the space between each alphabet of our language or our text. So if we give the property in positive value or positive integer, the spacing would be increased, whereas if we would be giving it in minus or negative integer, it would just decrease its spacing. So for example, for this p tag, I am going to write here text or letter spacing of 5 pixels maybe. Right, in our browser we can see that the space between each letter has increased. Whereas if we give it the negative integer value, you can see the indentation has completely changed to negative and all the characters has just stuck into each other. Whereas if I may give it 0 here, which is the default one, it would come into normal space. Right after getting about letter spacing, we are going to come into line height actually. This line height property actually specifies the space between each line, which means if you want a lot of space between these values or these lines actually, so you can give a positive integer between them, and whereas you can give negative integer value as well if you want to decrease it. So for line height, let us give it a value of 15 pixels maybe, so that we can visualize it. Right here you can see, not pixels actually, we just have to give it a value, an integer value, not any unit right here. So right, you can see it has given it the 15 pixels of value, right? 15 pixels here, right, as I have selected it, and 15 pixels here, whereas this space is due to this line, the 15 pixels from here, which means it is 30 pixels right now. So if I may make it minus 15, it won't do anything, because the text or the line height would not decrease from a specific line, which is the default height, and it can just be increased. Pardon me if I said it that we can give a negative value right here as well, because it was just mixed inside my mind for other property. No one is perfect, man. So after this line height, we have word spacing. So in this word spacing, what we can do, we can give the space between each of the word and increase the space or decrease the space depending on the positive and negative value respectively. Let us see it in our editor. So give it a word spacing, giving it an extraordinary value so that we can visualize it, a lot of visualization. Right here, as you can see, 50 pixels of word spacing. If I may decrease it and give it a negative value, so it has just bumped into each other. The same way, if you give it the 0, it is the default value, which there's nothing here. After word spacing, we have white space. So it is a very interesting thing. By white space, we mean that when a text collides to the border right here, if how is here, then the white space just comes to the next line, because there is a white space, the white space word here, this white space word I am talking about, it has come to the next line due to the white space. And by default, white space has the value of wrap, which means wrap it when you just touch the border. So don't exceed the border or the lines that we draw at each side of the frame. So if we give it no wrap, then what would happen? Let us see. Give it white space of no wrap. Right here, as you can see, it is just exceeding the text, exceeding the border and increasing the width of our div actually, but not coming to the next line, not wrapping due to that width. This is the effect of white space on our style. So after white space, we come to our next topic, which is the text shadow. So what is the text shadow? By text shadow, we mean if we want to decorate the text in such a way that we want its shadow to some extent. So the simple or the default or actually the required value for it is the horizontal shadow and the vertical shadow, which means how much do you want the shadow of the text to be shifted from the original text, which means if I may give it 2 pixels for horizontal and 2 pixels for vertical, then it would create a text shadow according to that. Whereas this red property is not required one, this is an optional property, whereas these two properties are actually required. So for text shadow, let us give it the text shadow of 2 pixels to horizontal, which means 2 pixels shifted to the right, and 2 pixels to the vertical, which means shifted 2 pixels downwards. So right here, as you can see, it is giving it that style. Let us style it in a different way so that we can see the shadow clearly. So font size of 20 pixels, if we are able to see it. Yeah, right here, as you can see, it is a bit more visible. So right here, the next property for it is the color of the shadow. So in this color of the shadow, actually the third property comes in, which is the red. If you want to change the color, then you can specify the color here. So let us change it to orange maybe. So the color of the shadow would be different from the original text, which is orange color. And another property which we can give, another value which we can give in this property text shadow is for blur value, which means how much do you want it to blur, and the increase of this integer value would increase our blur. If we want 10 pixels of blur, which means we have to give it as a third value 10 pixels of blur, which is a lot of blur. Right, as you can see, it has blurred it a lot because we have given it 10 pixels of blur. If I may reduce it and make it 3 actually, for example, you can see the blur is now a bit less and it is more visible. So you can create such a decoration with that text blur as well. So for this, actually, for text transformation, shadow and decoration and color background, we have given it actually 3 of our lessons, because it is a really important topic for typography, because front end is really composed of our text a lot, which means text matters a lot. The decoration of text, the visualization of text matters a lot. So from now on, in our next lesson, we are going to start reading about CSS fonts and various other properties which are actually important for our front end as well. So this, I needed to tell you that text is an important element of our front end. That's why we gave it 3 lessons, this one and 2 previous lessons. So pardon this mistake of 3. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked the video. If you did, then press the thumbs up button. Thank you for watching. And before saying goodbye, I want to say you that if you want this study material and all of the files that we use in this practical or practice file, so you can get it. The link would be in description. So goodbye.